Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Katie Asco from Dublin, Ireland, and these are your latest headlines from around the world. A significant archaeological discovery has been made in Israel, turning a new page in the history of excavations. The Israel Antiquities Authority has announced the finding of 80 new parchment fragments of the Old Testament, dating back to the 1st century AD. Experts say the fragments might belong to Jewish people who hid in caves after the failed uprising against Roman authorities led by Bar Kokhba. The scroll contains verses from the books of Zechariah and Nahum. The 1900-year-old manuscripts were found in the Cave of Horror mountain enclosure, which lies 40 kilometers south of Jerusalem. The Polish diocese of Elk is seeking the intercession of Blessed Carlo Acutis to animate the faith of young people and bring them to the sacraments. A first-class relic of Blessed Acutis was brought from Rome under the initiative of diocesan youth chaplain Fr Adrian Sadowski. Now it will be taken from parish to parish with the aim of bringing youth who are spiritual but not religious to the church. Father Sadowski said sometimes young people find it difficult to understand that the church is, quote, a hospital for sinners where they can meet the living God in sacramental action. Blessed Acutis makes us aware of this. Acutis was an Italian teenager who was passionate about computer programming, while also being deeply devoted to the real presence of our Lord. He died of leukemia in 2006 at the age of 16 and was beatified in 2020. Pope Francis has made an appeal for peace in Myanmar for the 4th time. At the end of his weekly general audience, the Holy Father made a poignant appeal for peace in the crisis-hit nation, saying, quote, I too kneel on the streets of Myanmar and say stop the violence. He was evoking the viral image of a Myanmar Catholic nun kneeling on the street and pleading before soldiers not to open fire on unarmed protesters. In the conflict-stricken country, civilians continue to protest against the military junta, which seized power on February 1st. The junta has been cracking down severely on protesters, resulting in bloodshed. More than 180 protesters have been killed so far, and the church is playing a significant role as mediator between troops and agitators. Christians are a minority in areas under Palestinian Authority, and their number is decreasing due to migration. However, Christians play a prominent role in Palestinian society, says a recent study by the Pontifical Mission of Jerusalem and the Dar al-Khalima University College. Data says Christian institutions are the 3rd largest employer for the local population without discrimination. The study has scrutinized the contributions made by 296 Christian institutions, such as schools, colleges, vocational training centres, and development agencies. These institutions employ more than 9,000 people, far more than are hired in private firms, including a sizable number of Muslims. With the Republic of Ireland expected to gradually ease pandemic curbs from April 5th, Archbishop of Dublin Dermot Farrell has appealed to the government for the constitutional right to worship to be a priority. In his homily for St. Patrick's Day on March 17th, Archbishop Farrell emphasised the faithful's difficulties when denied the opportunity to attend the Eucharistic celebration and receive Holy Communion. Because of the strict Level 5 pandemic restraints, the Archbishop said, it has affected how the faithful are nourished and sustained by their faith. The Archbishop said that prayer and communal worship are not an optional pastime for Catholics, adding that the consequences of these restrictions in the faithful's lives must not be underestimated. The prelate also slammed the restrictions on a maximum of 10 funeral attendees as harsh and unfair, insisting that religious worship has a clear human priority over other activities. Meanwhile, in Northern Ireland, the bishops have announced a cautious return to public worship for the faithful from March 26th in time to celebrate Holy Week and Easter. In a statement, the bishops emphasised the need for continued vigilance, saying there is still a dispensation for not attending Mass on Sundays and holy days. They added that believers not attending in person are encouraged to take part in the liturgy via live streaming. Archbishop of New York, Cardinal Timothy Dolan, has spoken out against the Equality Act, which was recently passed by the US House of Representatives. The Act prohibits discrimination based on sex, including sexual orientation and gender identity. The Cardinal who chairs the Committee for Religious Liberty of the United States Bishops' Conference said the Act is deeply intolerant, although it sounds appealing. Cardinal Dolan has said the Act targets people of faith and exempts itself from the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. He also added that Catholics cannot accept the gender ideology which denies a difference in nature between a man and a woman, saying that the Act goes far beyond the noble desire to protect vulnerable people and severely curtails the rights of religious people to be free to practice their faith. Those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow and visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.